who now stands at Byerley Stud at Sandy Hollow in the New South Wales Hunter Valley. The Dane was awesome as a 3-year-old, winning the Victoria Derby in his first preparation and then running second in the Melbourne Cup. He raced in a vintage era and also has the pedigree to make a top-class sire.
Good horses win good races. Great horses win stakes races. Champions create racing history. Nothing Like a Dane's chapter in the racing annals speak of brilliance, of courage, a royal pedigree, and above all, a special place in the racing history of the world. It all began in the summer of 1994, and a smashing son of Dane Hill from the wonderful Leica family fetched $165,000 at the Magic Millions yearling sale on the Gold Coast. By August 1995, the colt named Nothing Like a Dane made an impressive but low-key debut at Sydney's Warwick Farm racetrack.
Going with Nothing Like a Dane jumping out of the ground. It's Magic and Nothing Like a Dane. Nothing Like a Dane has put up a sensational performance to beat Magic.
Did you know after your first start that you had a classic winner in your stable?
No, I thought I had a very handy horse, but he got beaten at his second start, and I had to rethink and regroup. But I had a horse that I knew could gallop and that had great ability, and it was just a matter of being able to channel that.
Just 4 starts later, and the Dane stepped up to 2,000 metres, and stakes company for the first time. He trounced multiple Group 1 winner Catlin Opening in the Dulcify quality.
And Nothing Like a Dane is putting in a big run as they come to the 200 mark, where Catlin Opening and Nothing Like a Dane go to the lead together. Nothing Like a Dane takes the lead from Catlin Opening with 100 to go, and the big boy, look at the size of him, he's a giant, and Nothing Like a Dane, beautifully ridden by Larry Cassidy, races away to beat Catlin Opening.
Premier trainer Gay Waterhouse knew she had something special. Her super smart 3-year-old broke 36 seconds for the final 600 metres, coming off the pace. He did it again in the Group 1 Spring Champion Stakes in just his 5th career start.
Spur down near the inside, Nothing Like a Dane sprinted very quickly and raced up to head. Stalk, Catlin Opening is boxing on strongly, and Super Slew down the outside, but Nothing Like a Dane draws clear near the post. Super Slew is charging home in second place, but Nothing Like a Dane too good and beats Super Slew. Catlin Opening third, followed by Recalcitrance.
Nothing Like a Dane had already done in one preparation what many good horses achieve in their entire careers. But the best was yet to come. To Melbourne, and Nothing Like a Dane again trumped Catlin Opening and eventual Caulfield Cup winner Arctic Scent in the Norman Robinson Stakes.
Nothing Like a Dane on the outside is coming at Catalan Opening with 150 left to go. Nothing Like a Dane on the outside. Catalan Opening is fighting back. Here's a Ding Dong Jewel. Nothing Like a Dane. Catalan Opening, they go to the line. Nothing Like a Dane. A long head to Catalan Opening with Arctic Scent third.
It was just over 2 months since his first racetrack appearance, and the Dane was Derby bound. His first look at the famous Flemington racetrack and a sensational staying performance to beat twice Horse of the Year Octagonal and a host of Group 1 performers in the time-honoured Victorian Classic. The times were nothing short of sensational.
Nothing Like a Dane has taken the lead now. He's just in advance of Burrito, and here comes Octagonal. He ducked in under pressure slightly. Nothing Like a Dane is the leader, but Octagonal is starting to fly home down the outside. Nothing Like a Dane about to be tackled by Octagonal, who's coming at him, but Nothing Like a Dane is fighting on. Nothing Like a Dane wins the Derby. A length Octagonal, 2.5 lengths away, third Donor.
From about the 100 metres to the winning post, I was holding him. He never made up any ground. And if anything, the last 20 metres I was getting away from him. Sure, Octagonal got held up. If he had got clear and got out, he would have got within a neck of me. And I think I would have fought back and beat him.
Nothing Like a Dane set the pace and sprinted home the final 3 furlongs in a freakish 34 seconds flat. The mark of a champion with a place in the history books confirmed. But Gay Waterhouse eyed a bigger prize and a rare place in racing history. Nothing Like a Dane, at just his 8th start and just 9 weeks after his debut race, lined up in the world's richest 2-mile race, the Melbourne Cup. A 3-year-old hadn't won since Skipton 44 years earlier. On a heavy track, Shane Dye worked his long, striding colt into the race on the corner to be denied a place as one of the all-time greats only by Mudlark de Remus.
Clear coming down the outside with a good run as Remus and Nothing Like a Dane. The three-year-old is putting himself in the picture. Storm is back behind them, followed by Quick Ransom and Board. Coming to the 200-metre mark, and Remus takes the lead. Nothing Like a Dane on the inside, finishing very determinedly. But Remus was the leader at the 200. Nothing Like a Dane is second, then Coachwood, Quick Ransom and Vintage Crop is starting to fly home. But Remus is clear in the final stages. He's set for the double Remus for Lee Friedman and Damien Oliver. Remus wins the fastest Melbourne Cup 3 lengths, 4 lengths to Nothing Like a Dane. Vintage Crop was a huge run third. Then
It was an amazing run. He had a beautiful run in the race. Maybe if it hadn't rained so much and the track was pretty good, he might have nearly got away with it. You know, three-year-olds just don't run seconds in Melbourne Cups, and his run that day was super.
People often query you doing that. The thing is, horses are bred to run, and he was a great middle distance staying horse. I mean, he proved that in the Metropolitan, where he was only beaten a neck and a neck by Hula Flight and Saintly then went on and won the Melbourne Cup. You know, he was an outstanding racehorse.
Only a handful of three-year-olds have contested the Melbourne Cup in modern history, and that makes Nothing Like a Dane's performance all the more freakish to be able to do it on the tail end of his very first preparation. He was a horse of enormous quality, enormous ability and great durability.
Adding even further merit to Nothing Like a Dane's outstanding career, his three-year-old rivals were rated the best in decades. The likes of Saintly, Octagonal, Volante, Catlin Opening and company. But the Dane showed his brilliant form to quicken next autumn. A devastating sprint which proved lethal. He resumed in the Group 2 Hobart Hill Stakes, dashing home ahead of another star of the generation, Octagonal, leaving Volante and Catlin Opening in their wake.
Horses in the straight, Nothing Like a Dane headed Mr. Victory. Octagonal taking a while to wind up. Catlin Opening getting the rails run. Nothing Like a Dane is in front, 100 out. Here's Octagonal down the outside, going to him quickly. But Nothing Like a Dane, just like the Victoria Derby, is still in front, and he's done it again. Nothing Like a Dane, he beat Octagonal. Catlin Opening probably third in front of Volante.
And he was a wonderful horse because he could travel on the speed. You know, 75% of races are won from the horses being in the box seat in the first, second or third position as they come round the final turn. And he was a horse that could put himself into the race. He put himself into a winning position.
It was without a doubt the autumn of a champion crop of three-year-olds. And the Dane was narrowly denied in one of the finest Rose Hill Guineas in history, beaten less than half a length by Octagonal and Saintly.
As they turn for home, in the straight to link with the leader, Nothing Like a Dane looming up on the outside, Octagonal and Saintly right out in the middle of the track. Nothing Like a Dane hit the lead at the 200, but Octagonal has gobbled him up on the outside. Saintly is going to have the last shot at them. Octagonal just in front of Nothing Like a Dane. Saintly on the outside. Octagonal just in front as they get near home. Saintly lunged. Octagonal wins the Guineas from either Saintly on the outside or Nothing Like a Dane, which kicked again. You couldn't have written the script any better than that. Flashing.
You ask any of the young boys or girls that go to the Olympics and compete in world titles month after month, year after year, how long they last at the top. They get burnt out pretty quick. And these horses, you know, they're exactly the same as our young swimming stars and track stars. And he was competing against the best we had to offer in the land. There wasn't any better. And he always held his own. You know, he won some, he ran second and third and fourth in others, but he was always there.
In an era of greats, Nothing Like a Dane stood tall. Two more Group 1 placings in the Metropolitan Handicap and Sydney Cup saw the bold and brilliant Entire retire with 6 wins and 8 placings on all types of going. He earned more than $1.7 million.
Nothing Like a Dane's meteoric rise to fame in the spring of 1995, I think, did a heck of a lot for Australian racing. He had his first start on a Sunday at Warwick Farm in a pretty ordinary type of three-year-old race. I think he started around about 12 to 1. And would you believe 79 days later, that's about 11 and a half weeks, he ran second in the Melbourne Cup. And along the way, he collected the Group 1 Victoria Derby and the Group 1 Spring Champion Stakes. He was a heck of a racehorse. No doubt he reached his absolute pinnacle in the spring of 95, and I'll never forget the deeds of Nothing Like a Dane.
He won my first classic race, which was the Victorian Derby. He then backed up 4 days later and ran second in the Melbourne Cup. He won the Spring Champion Stakes. If he was racing overseas, he probably would have been sold to stud for probably about $2 million million pounds if he was standing in England, because it's hard to get a horse that's won the classics, and he won exactly that. Beautiful horse, big, rangy type.
Nothin Leica Dane retired to stud a classic winner in a vintage year. He also possesses a peerless pedigree by the multiple champion son of Danzig, Danehill. A brilliant source of speed and stamina proven in both hemispheres.
Danehill's a remarkable horse. He's sired horses that win from, 1,000 metres to 3,200. And I can't see why Nothin Leica Dane, a son of him, can't do the same thing with his progeny.
Nothin Leica Dane is from one of the most sought-after families in the world of thoroughbred breeding, the Leica family. And more importantly, from a mare by Sir Tristram, the world's all-time leading sire of Group 1 winners. The Leica family has a great tradition of producing group race stars, including Oaks winners Leica Show and Leica Smile, plus Derby victors Reading and Leica Lover, and other turf sensations Pharaoh and Tell Fibs.
He's got everything to make him a lovely sire. He was a very kind horse. He's a lovely, big, loose type of horse. And so he'll give his progeny nice size, which is what you want when you're buying a yearling. You don't want something that's like a little pony. You want a nice-sized horse. And he was just a very good racehorse. And hey, you can't take away what he's won. You can't take away his classic wins.
And we'll be catching up with Nothin Leica Dane at Biley in a few weeks' time. That's all for this show and another week in the breeding world. Thanks for your company. See you soon.